Hey guys, Justin from 207 Overland here. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about antennas, specifically GMRS. Now the reason for this video is actually twofold. I've got a lot of people asking me about antennas, and we also just welcomed a brand new partner and sponsor to the 207 Overland family, Alamosa Antenna. Now on my trailer here, I've got three antennas that I'd like to talk to you about today. The Midland Ghost antenna, the Midland Whip antenna, and one of the new Alamosa fiberglass whip antennas. These antennas here have different output gains. The Midland Ghost has a 3 dB gain, the Midland Whip has a 6 dB gain, and the Alamosa has a 6 dB gain as well. Now, people would think the higher the gain, the better, right? Well, it's not always that simple, and I'll tell you why in a minute. First, let's talk about some advantages and disadvantages. The Midland Ghost antenna, I really like. It is a small, non-obtrusive antenna that you can mount anywhere in your vehicle. Obviously, with any GMRS style antenna, the higher on the vehicle, the better. The more central on the vehicle, the better. But this is pretty well universal and pretty much as versatile as it gets. I've had these mounted up high center on my vehicle right through the roof. I've had them in a ditch light bracket location and everywhere in between, and it works very well. The only disadvantage to this that I can find is if you're mounting it somewhere that you need the top of it to be up as high as possible, as in like you're mounting it on the side of the vehicle. Obviously, this doesn't give you a lot of height to get the antenna up that high. That being said, it still works extremely well. One other small disadvantage, depending on the type of terrain and obstacles that you're traveling through, there's obviously no spring base to this. So if you've got it mounted hard to the roof and you've got a branch that comes across, you know, if it's a small branch, no big deal, but if it's a big thick one, it's going to want to pull the antenna and rip it out of your roof. So do be cautious with where you mount it, but that's about the only disadvantage I can see to this style here. Next we have the Midland 6 dB whip. This is also a very versatile antenna that can be mounted same thing as the Ghost, through the roof. It can be mounted in a ditch light location and everywhere in between. Some advantages to this are that obviously the antenna is taller, so you're getting your GMRS signal up higher off of your vehicle, which is obviously the higher the better for transmission, better for reception. It's also got a built-in spring base here. That way, if you do get a branch or something come across the top of your vehicle, this antenna will bend over and then spring back into place to let the obstacle pass. As far as disadvantages, really, we'll talk about that in a second when it comes to the gain differences between the two. I think that this antenna here will get you longer range, but not necessarily clear reception, if that makes sense. At least that's my experience, but we'll talk about that more in a second. Now let's talk about the big guy, the Alamosa antenna. So this guy here, compared to the Midland antenna, it's a bit taller, not by a whole lot, but still a bit. Obviously it is a much beefier, thicker construction as well. The bottom where it attaches to the vehicle, it does come with a giant spring base that's got the antenna wire and connection built in. That spring is very rugged, very heavy duty, to the point that that antenna is rock solid on your vehicle even at highway speeds. It's not flopping all over the place, so I do like that about it. It is important to note that this is a fiberglass enclosed antenna structure, where this is a exposed antenna structure. So far I have seen no disadvantages to that. I was concerned at first with you know, obstacles and branches and things hitting it. Maybe this would crack over time, but I've put it through hell and back, and it is still looking and performing like the day it was purchased. So antenna gain is a measure of how well an antenna can both transmit and receive its power in a particular direction. So you would think that the higher the number, the more powerful the antenna, right? Well, short answer is yes, but it's not that simple. See, the higher the number, the stronger your transmission and reception may be, but it's only strong in a straight line away from the antenna. So think of this as having a large circular transmission pattern around your vehicle. The taller antennas, the higher dB gain antennas, think of them as having a more straight line front and back transmission from your vehicle. The circular pattern of the 3 dB gain, the lower gain antennas, are actually better, believe it or not, at transmission and reception in closer but denser obstacled areas, whereas the higher gain antennas are better at transmission and reception over extreme distances, but only if those distances are relatively unobstructed. An easy way of looking at that would be if you're in a wide open desert type environment, one of these might do better. But if you're in a very hilly, wooded, or heavily obstacled environment, one of these might be better. But again, it's not that simple, and your terrain may vary greatly even on a ride. So you might start off a ride in an area where this might be best, but by the end of it, you might be in an area where this could perform better. At the end of the day, I have found that having a better antenna and a better placement on your vehicle actually performs better than purchasing a higher wattage radio just for the simple fact of having more watts. It's not always about the wattage of the radio, it's more about the antenna. I've been on many rides with a lot of people and a lot of different radios and antennas, and from my personal experience, I've actually had sometimes an easier time communicating with the guy in the back that's got a 5-watt radio and a great antenna mounted in a perfect location than I did with the guy with a 20-watt radio who's maybe 3 or 4 cars back, but his antenna placement and type really just was not good. So again, an antenna upgrade is one of the best things you can do. Lastly, and once again, it is important to note that the Alamosa antennas are great, but they do require a very rugged mounting location on your vehicle, like the steel tubing of an aftermarket bumper, or a special designed heavy-duty magnet mount on some other steel accessory mounted somewhere to your vehicle. This is not the kind of antenna that you could mount to a body panel with an adapter, and it's certainly not the kind that you could really mount to a ditch light location either, simply because of the size, the weight, and the mass that gets blown around with the wind from these antennas. You want it to be on a stable, secure, and rugged mounting location so that doesn't cause damage to your vehicle. Now, I'm doing some work to my vehicle right now, but I did want to show you the type of mount that I'm talking about. This is the spring mount for the Alamosa style antenna that goes on the steel tubing of my front bumper. Now that is, just to give you a size comparison, that is a huge spring. That's not a little CB radio type spring. It's not the built-in type springs like you see on some of the other antennas. It's huge, so you really do need a secure mounting location for something like that. Well, that's about all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed and found some knowledge in this short video I put together for you. Don't forget, our 207 Overland Platinum members can get a discount on any Midland product and now Alamosa product as well, just by using your login on our website at 207overland.com.